This is Pradeep Goel. It is 7 a.m. on a Saturday after Thanksgiving. So I want to wish all of you a great holiday season. Some of you celebrate Thanksgiving, some of you don't, but I know all of you celebrate holidays. And I wish for all of you to be healthy and for your families and you to have a great time together and for you to be thankful and grateful for all the amazing gifts we have in life, starting with being alive and being here together. I'm very thankful for all the support and your comments and feedback that we get in the community. We are going to have a very long session today for a couple of reasons. One, because it's end of the year and there's much to discuss and cover on what worked, what didn't work, what will work, what should work, where we are going. It's been a great year. It's been a very challenging year. Little things like war and crypto winter and regulatory environment and crypto meltdown, all of this, plus continue to build and support a team that is going through such terrible tragedy as we all know about. So it's a really, really impactful year. But I'm very grateful that at the end of this year, we are all here together. And none of my team members are hurt. Most of their families are safe. So it has been a remarkable year, a year that I will not forget, both for good reasons and not so good reasons, but a year that definitely transformed the company and transformed me as a human being and had impact on pretty much all of humanity. But our purpose today is to answer questions. And the community has a lot of questions, and I will try to answer all of them. There are 37 questions that were submitted, and probably more will come as we talk. So let's get started and let's address these questions in blocks. We will talk about each topic at a time. I expect that the AMA today will take 2+ hours, could take 2.5 hours, could take 3 hours. So let's agree that about every 45 minutes, we are going to take a break. You will probably need to go to the bathroom, and certainly I will need to as well. So we will start now, and around 45 minutes mark, 50-minute mark, we will take a break for 5 minutes. We will start again, and we'll take a break for 5 minutes after 45 minutes. So this will be about 3 sections, 3 chapters of this AMA. Before we get started, I want to set some ground rules. I will answer every one of your questions the way I think will protect the company. We are very proud of our community. We're very proud of your support, but we also know there are other people in the community who wish to copy us, who wish to harm us, who wish to win at our cost, not because they're better than us, but because they're jealous of us. We also are aware of people who are using this AMA to run campaigns against the company in terms of trolling and in terms of spreading rumors. And we also have legal considerations. There are people that we have legal disputes with who are using these AMAs to further their own position, even though we know for sure that we are in the right. So there are many people here, not just those who wish us well, but those also who wish us ill. And I have to think about the broader picture and make sure that my answers I give you will not harm the team, will not harm the company, will not harm our clients, and most of all, will not harm you, because you want to succeed with us. Most of you, 99% of the community here, wants to be successful with Solve. And that's the 99% that I care about. But I have to be cautious about the 1% who does not wish to see us succeed and would rather see us fail, not because we don't deserve to win, but because they are jealous or because they're envious or because they seek to exploit the success of Solve.Care. So community is my first responsibility, but company and team are also my responsibility. So I will give you answers that I think are the maximum information I can disclose to you in trying to answer your questions, but I will not share with you what I think will harm the company. And I'm sure you can understand that. So with that said, let's begin. So there are several groups of questions that were submitted. There's a whole set of questions around Definitize. There's a set of questions around Global Telehealth Exchange. There is a set of questions around other networks. There are a set of questions around company in general. There are questions about our Koreans are Winners program and Korean market. And then there are general questions. So 37 as we start, by the time we finish, could be 50. So let's begin. Let's take the toughest of them right away, definitize. It's on the top of the list. So what's happening with definitize? And there are many questions. So I'm going to read your question that some of you submitted, one of you submitted, and I'll give you precise answers, as precise as I have it. And if I don't have an answer to something, I will tell you that I don't know the answer, and we will set a deadline by which we can give you an answer, or we will tell you this answer cannot be given, period. So let's begin. First question, definitize. Please confirm that Solve.Care will honor the definitize commitment that we will ensure that, that Solve.Care will mine 40,000 DCare and donate all the mined DCare to the definitized treasury, and the staked Solve will be returned to the treasury after 12 months. First question is basically about this. The definitized constitution requires 490,000 definitized to be mined before it can be adopted. We are not there yet. We are around 430, 440. So we are still short of 50,000 tokens before the constitution can be presented to the community to be adopted. And we promised last year that if this threshold is not achieved by the community through mining, we will do it ourselves, we being Solve.Care. Now, do you remember that Solve.Care and Definitize are two different projects? Solve.Care is run as an organization, as a company. I've been leading it for 6 years, along with Ed, Maria, James, Raj, and many other people, versus Definitize is a community project, and Solve.Care is a community member of Definitize, not the owner of Definitize. However, we are very interested, as Solve.Care, to see Definitize go to market. Why? Why do we care? We care because Definitize, A, is a very good project. B, it complements and supplements the Solve.Care business of improving healthcare around the world. And C, because I think that Definitize going into market will actually bring non-crypto people to the DAO model. And I think that a lot of what is happening in the market, both good and bad in the crypto market, is because it doesn't help the average consumer. And the more we bring average consumer into the blockchain, into the digital asset space, the more stable and more successful we will all be. So I think it's an important project. It needs to be done. So we are going to do it in the sense that Solve.Care has already committed that if the community does not mine enough DCare tokens, then on the last day, we will mine whatever is the balance. And I think that given the current situation, the community will not achieve 490,000 DCare mined. So we will have to mine whatever is left, and we will. Now, how does the mining work? The way the mining works is that you deposit your Solve into a smart contract, and the contract spits out DCare, which you get immediately, and your Solve are locked for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, you get your Solve back. So now you have both DCare and you have Solve. So somebody will have to put a lot of Solve into the mining contract to ensure that 490,000 DCare exist. And that commitment to mine the balance is what Solve.Care made that commitment. And we are going to do that. We will wait and see how many tokens need to be mined, and the balance we will mine. So that's the question number one, which also should tell you that we are very much in support of Definitize as a project, as a DAO that sponsors medical projects around the world. Now, a few comments about Definitize. When we started Definitize 2 years ago, there was no war. There was no global crisis, the inflation, all the things that we are seeing, the instability, the geopolitical, the impact on millions of people that we are faced with, not just in Ukraine, but around the world. The world has become more unstable, which means projects like Definitize are more needed than before. So our commitment level has not gone down to supporting Definitize. In fact, it has gone up. But it's a big project. It's going to require real serious resources. So in answer to your first question, will definitized mining be done or D-Care mining be completed by end of the year? Yes, it will be. We will get it over 490,001 D-Care. We will make sure that that many tokens are mined, which means that then definitized project can move forward from a constitutional discussion and adoption perspective. So that's your question number one and the answer to that. The next one is Solve.Care Foundation will dedicate a 3% team to help develop definitized smart contracts. We have not done that. We have not done that because Solve.Care has other priorities. We have had a lot of things to deal with this year. I've already mentioned some of them, and we decided to focus 100% on Solve.Care's core business, the platform, the wallet, the protocol, the clients, the networks, adoption. And I'm very glad that we did that because we simply did not have the physical bandwidth and the mental bandwidth to run Solve.Care through these last many months of crisis and to take on Definitize. So if we as Solve.Care are not currently building Definitize, but we are looking for supporting the Definitize community to move forward and build. I don't believe that Solve.Care should have the focus of Definitize above its own platform, community, client, networks, adoption, and Solve token utility. Those are our goals. And add to that funding, which we will talk about later. So Solve has not committed the resources because we simply did not have the resources and we did not have the mental bandwidth to manage this project. We believe that Definitize should move forward under an independent team, under a leadership that is engaged, that is involved fully. And Solve.Care is working with the founding community to find such a leader, to find someone who really believes in Definitize, who makes it their mission to make it happen. Because ideas are great. Execution is the more important. Anybody can have a great idea, and Definitize is absolutely a great idea. But when it comes to execution, it needs a dedicated leader. And within Solve.Care, we don't have such bandwidth. So we are looking for helping the Definitize founding community to find such a leader. We started the process about a year ago to find such a leader. I interviewed several people. I presented one that I liked to the founding committee. It was not successful interviews. The individual did not join us. Then we have not looked as closely on this role as we should, and we will again, but our priorities have been Solve.Care platform, Solve token, Care wallet, utility, and networks and clients. So therefore, Definitize has not gotten the attention it needs and deserves, and it is 100% clear that it needs a leader that is not also trying to run the Solve.Care platform adoption or network, so it cannot come from within Solve.Care. It has to come from the outside. And that's what must happen next year. But the fact that we are mining D-Care ourselves tells you that we are in full support of Definitize. And we will support it both with our knowledge and our expertise, but we're not going to run Definitize because it is a big project that needs its own team. And that team must be externally built by an external set of resources who take ownership of Definitize project. So this remains to be done. We see enormous opportunity for Definitize project to integrate with Care Wallet. Definitize has a lot of really cool features. You can vote, you can stake, you can buy devices, or you can sell devices, or you can finance devices. There is a lot of features here that can be easily integrated into the Care wallet as a journey or as a network. So our vision to support Definitize become globally useful and consumer friendly is to allow the Definitize Care network to exist inside the Care wallet. So if you think about all these functions of Definitize that you need to do as a community member, those will appear as care journeys in a care network called Definitize, which will be available in the care wallet, which you can then join. This is our contribution. We are comfortable sharing our technology stack for Definitize to use. But all the DAO part, the decentralized autonomous organization part, must be decentralized, autonomous, and organized by the community. So my goal here is to help the DAO founding committee of Definitize to go out there and find the right leader with support from Solve.Care, but independent of Solve.Care. Do I think that Definitize will get built next year? I think it can get well on its way to do that, but it needs to be independent of Solve.Care. It introduces independence, autonomy, and it also reduces the risk for Solve.Care and also reduces the risk for Definitize. So in the unclear regulatory environment that DAOs are, we need to make sure that Solve.Care doesn't get entangled into a DAO where we as a company, as a platform company, put ourselves at risk and we put Definitize at risk. So we're not going to do that. So our objective here is to support the mining. Yes, we will do that. To ensure that there is a Definitize leader in place. Yes, we will do that. It is something that we wanted to do this year. We could not. We will do it next year. But then we are going to step back and let the Definitize team run independently. And we are going to let the Definitize team manage its priorities, its plans, its progress, even its location, its regulatory compliance framework. All the questions that need to be resolved in the real world will need to be resolved by the DAO team, the Definitize team. And Solve.Care will make its technology stack available. In fact, we are ready to give that stack to the Definitize team today, where all the consumer activities can be done in the form of care journeys inside the Definitize care network, like every other care network in the care wallet. So those are my answers on Definitize. The next question is, what will happen if the 490,000 limit is not reached? Well, I already answered that. We will make sure it is reached. The next question is Solve.Care ready to immediately continue work with the Definitize founding community on constituting Definitize? I've already answered that. Solve.Care is ready to work with the Definitize founding committee to find the people who will run Definitize on a day-to-day basis. But Solve.Care is not going to build Definitize using Solve.Care people, which would then make it a Solve.Care project. We want Definitize to be a DAO, not a Solve.Care product. So therefore, we are ready to work with the founding committee to find the leadership for Definitize. I will say this, that for the last year or so, the founding committee has not been very active. And that needs to change. And if need be, we should consider as a community changing the constitution, or before adopting the constitution, change the role of the founding committee. And I will advocate that the founding committee's role should be reduced and the governance committee's role should be increased. Because in the end, as a DAO, Definitize should be run by the community and not by a few members. So we need to decentralize the DAO. And to do that, we need to reduce the role and responsibilities of the founding committee and appoint a governance committee as soon as possible. So when that can be done, here is what I think will happen or should happen. First, we should mine the 490K tokens by end of the year. That we will do. Solve.Care will make sure that happens with our own commitment. Second, constitution should be presented to the community to review. Solve.Care will work with the founding committee to at least make sure there is a constitution in the market. The community, you, needs to vote or amend the constitution before adopting it. And I will be advocating for the reduced role of founding committee in that. Once the committee adopts the constitution, and in parallel to that, founding committee needs to find appropriate leadership, or a community needs to elect appropriate leadership to move forward and start building all the important parts of Definitize that Solve.Care does not have. We will give the Definitize community the wallet, the platform, the ability to author a network, the transactional capability. All that work is done. But there is more work to be done by the community in terms of voting systems, in terms of how the voting contracts will work, in terms of how the funding and the D-Care contracts are supposed to work. There is a lot of work to be done in Definitize, and that needs to be done by a community. I'm open to different forms of financing for Definitize. Solve.Care will contribute its platform. Community will contribute its intelligence, but there will also need to be financial commitment to ensure that people who are working on Definitize have a way to get paid. Of course, the community can pay them with D-Care. That's a given. That's easy. But some of them will need cash payments. So Definitize will need to raise some level of funding to support those things that cannot be paid in D-Care. So these are the things that community needs to take a vote on. And the sooner we can put the constitution to the vote, the sooner community can decide what you want to do. So yes, Definitize will be presented to you with its current state of constitution, and you will decide whether you like it and you want to adopt it, or you will decide whether you don't like it and you will suggest amendments. All those things will need to be done in the coming year. And Solve.Care's role will be a supporter of Definitize, a very strong supporter and contributor to Definitize. But this project will be run by a community member, not by a Solve.Care team. Okay. There is a question about paid search to find a proper leadership to take Definitize forward. This is the next question. We did pay an agency to find Definitize leadership. That agency was not able to come up with anything that approaches a real DAO leader. Most agencies, recruiting agencies, are not familiar with what a community-run DAO project is. And those who are mostly in the financial and tech space. So we did not find a Definitize leader, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. I've been doing personal search for Definitize leader. I've met at least 3 people, one in Canada, one in US, and one in Asia, who can be potential leaders for Definitize. But these are all decisions that need to be made by the community. So my view is that once we finish the mining and the constitution is presented to the community, and there is a governance committee created, then community should make all these decisions. What was the plan on how this proper leadership will be paid? Will they be paid in fiat? Will they be paid in tokens? That's a decision for the community. My view is both. There will be plenty of D-Care in the treasury. All the tokens that Solve.Care is mining, we're putting them in the Definitize treasury and giving it back to the community. We're not keeping one token for Solve.Care. So therefore, you have these tokens, and you can most definitely, as a community members, vote to spend those tokens on the leadership. If it comes to fiat, then there needs to be a community decision on how Definitize will be paid for. I think Solve.Care has, in the past, said that we will invest in Definitize in cash. We have invested a lot already. The constitution alone, the amount of money we invested in helping craft the constitution was all paid for by Solve.Care directly. So we have contributed to the creation of the contribution. We have contributed in terms of the platform and the access to the wallet and the care network. And we will continue to support the Definitize community for sure. It's an important project. But once the constitution is in front of you, from that point on, it becomes a truly community project funded by the community. There is a last question here. There are several other questions. Let me take a look. So I've answered the questions about mining. I've answered the question about leadership. That community will need to help select a leader. What assets would be available to the community on handover or post-adoption? All smart contracts, documentations, and IP that exists will be handed over. In fact, there is nothing really to hand over other than the documentation, which is in the public domain. And we'll make sure that all the documentation is in the public domain. All the IP is written in the constitution. Everything is very public. The technical design documents will also be published. When we hand over the project to the community, all of this information will be given over to you. And the founding committee and the governance committee of Definitize should make the decision on how the Definitize project should proceed. Last question. Has any legal opinion been sought regarding the activities? Yes, we have sought a legal opinion. There are many legal opinions about DAO, and they keep changing. But here is my view, my personal view. For Definitize to succeed, it needs to be a decentralized autonomous organization with a link to a physical organization that can interact with all the entities that need to be interacted with in the real world. In other words, a licensed entity that has the appropriate jurisdictional licenses should be behind the DAO in the physical world. And we have done the research, and there are several good options for launching such an entity. There is Lithuania as an option, Switzerland is an option, Singapore is an option. There are clearly defined jurisdictions where DAO is accepted and DAO models are being encouraged. So Definitize, in my opinion, should have a physical entity with very defined role, and that would be like an operating partner role. And that operating entity can do things like sign contracts or get audits done, or to file financial statements if those are relevant, and so on. It does not need to manage the assets or run Definitize, but definitely needs to be present in the sense that there is a physical interaction between the DAO and human and regulators and banks and so on. That's my view. The community can decide differently, but if I, as a community member, have an opinion, that would be my opinion. So in a nutshell about Definitize, I personally think it's a very important project. I'm invested in it personally, in the sense that I have mined tokens personally. Solve.Care will mine tokens to support Definitize constitution launch. Solve.Care feels that the founding committee needs to be more active and needs to be expanded with the governance committee, which is actually committed to running the Definitize on a day-to-day basis. And Solve.Care will step back in terms of running it, because we never wanted to and we never will be an active operator of Definitize. The community must operate. So it's a community-run project, and community needs to get more engaged. We'll mine the tokens, we'll present the constitution, and we'll seek your input, and we'll ask you to take ownership. And we will continue to be engaged, and we will provide the tech platform on which Definitize network can be authored if the community so wishes to. And we think there's a lot of value there. And once you author a Definitize Care network, it will interact with every other care network. So if Definitize is promoting device financing, then every care network, any client ever built on Solve.Care platform can take advantage of that device financing feature of Definitize. That's the beauty of our platform. So we will offer that, and are offering that to Definitize, and are ready to do that today. But there needs to be more community engagement, and there needs to be more governance body engagement. There needs to be a Definitize-centric team. All that needs to happen for Definitize to move forward without being reliant upon and without being connected with Solve.Care. Okay. There is one more question. Why did Solve.Care not respond to offers from community members to support with Definitize? It goes back to the same question. Solve.Care is not the entity that should be building Definitize. So Solve.Care is a big community member and a very strong supporter of Definitize. Once the tokens are mined, which all of you should be mining, and we will help with the mining process, we will turn it over the project to you. So anybody can get involved, and we want all of you to get engaged. We are not going away. We're not leaving Definitize and saying it's your goodbye. What we're saying is it needs to be more community oriented and community run. Community members that are offering to help will be able to work with community run organization that Definitize needs to be. So in a nutshell, Solve.Care is focused on its business, and it's supporting Definitize, and Definitize community needs to run Definitize, including those who want to help, and those who want to contribute, and those who want to invest or finance, and those who want to use Definitize. All that needs to move into the domain of the community. That's what I'm saying. And those who have been wanting to help, we will have plenty of opportunity to help moving forward, because we want to move it out of a founding committee run model to a governance committee run model, where you elect and you manage the community and you manage the project with our support, with our participation, but not our leadership. Okay. Let's move to the next part. If there are, I will wait about 5 seconds, 10 seconds to see if there are other community questions on Definitize, because I don't want to leave your questions hanging. So please fire away. My team just submitted only one question to me about the community members wanting to support. Any other questions on Definitize, guys? Okay, nothing so far. And if there are questions, please post them and I will circle back to it then. Let's see if there are questions arise. Let's talk about the next question. And these are quite a few connected. So let me break them down. So there is a network platform and GTHE questions. Let's combine them all because they're all really related. The first question is, what happens to all the old off-protocol care networks? How can users of these continue to utilize them? That's a pretty important question. First, let me, for those of you who know, and those of you who don't, a little bit of a reminder. In the first 5 years of Solve.Care, we built 5 care networks, meaning Solve.Care built 5 care networks for various clients. Let me give you a refresher on those networks. The first network we built was Provider Rewards Program. It's a provider payment system for value-based care that we built for a large health system in Arizona. And the purpose of this network was to allow providers to see, measure, and get paid in real time for complex performance-based and value-based care models. In a nutshell, the program measures how good the provider is acting in the interest of the patient. Are they performing all the necessary steps to protect the patient? And is the provider reducing the patient's pain and suffering in the most efficient way? And if they're taking all the necessary steps, then they get paid more than those who are not. And all that measurement of quality standards, care models, and real-time earnings and real-time payments was a very complex and is a very complex problem. And I'm very proud to say that the very first network Solve.Care built in the early days was a very complex care payment model called value-based care payments, also known as gain share, also known as performance-based payments. This network was launched in 2018. And it was used till 2020, till the end of 20. That network is, that company, which was using the PRP network, was then ultimately sold by their owners to another company, and they are going through their own merger and post-merger activities. And they changed their direction as an organization. So we don't need to worry about PRP in terms of its current users, because those users, all that ended at the end of 2020, right around when the COVID hit. And after COVID, they have not yet returned to this business as far as we know. But what we built in the PRP is very attractive to a lot of health organizations who want to do the same. And we have, as recently as 2 weeks ago, received a reference from our PRP client to work with another organization that wants a similar network to be stood up. So we continue to receive interest in PRP from clients, both the old client who used it for 2 years and the one that didn't, that ones that are new. So do I think that PRP needs to be reactivated? Yeah, of course it needs to be turned back on. But we're not going to turn it back on as in the old network, because that network had certain limitations, which our new platform does not. So we will reauthor PRP onto our network, into our platform, using all the functionality of the Care Wallet and Care Platform that we have now. And we will add to many new features that PRP did not have, like devices or gas fees or transaction in wallet-to-wallet payments. Those were not permitted in PRP, in the previous PRP. So the new PRP has to include a lot more power because a lot more power is available than was 5 years ago in the platform. So we will reauthor PRP when we have a client who is ready to pay and use for PRP. But it's a very successful model which showed that doctors and patients like using the wallet and like using the Solve token. But PRP was an off-protocol network, meaning it didn't use Care protocol. It was built as a set of journeys in the Care wallet. So every time we had to change a journey, we had to release a new version of the wallet. The on-protocol network does not require the wallet to be modified. You can simply update the protocol on the blockchain and all the wallets worldwide start behaving differently. That's much more powerful. It's the fundamental of Solve.Care's vision. And we are there. So PRP will move from off protocol to on protocol. But we're going to do this when we have a paying customer, which we expect next year. Conversations are underway to migrate the PRP, enhance it, and relaunch it on our on protocol platform. And I'm not surprised. Why? Before COVID, hospitals were cash rich. ACOs were primarily focused on reducing the payer-driven, value-based contract model, where payers were saying, look, what we want to do is to reduce the extra burn, the waste, the friction, the duplication, and the unnecessary cost and suffering that patients go through when care is not optimally delivered. So let's incentivize the doctors to be optimally effective and efficient. And that's what value-based care ultimately boils down to. But when COVID hit, for 2 years, none of that mattered because all insurance companies are dealing with was a completely different usage pattern than normal. All the usage patterns, utilization patterns, and actuarial tables blew up. What you underwrote a policy thinking you will do didn't happen in good ways and bad. People didn't go into hospital to do normal care or schedule surgeries or even do preventative care. All of that shut down. All that we saw was COVID-driven care and avoidance of any hospital visits by anybody who could. So as a result, utilization tables changed, performance models changed, and it didn't really make sense for Arizona Care Network or their parent to run the PRP. We accept that decision. It was not, I would have done the same. It just didn't make any sense to worry about something that simply wasn't happening in the COVID world. Now, the post-COVID world, things are starting to come back. People are coming back to the hospital. The doctors are returning to the practice. There is a better balance between digital and physical, but still physical health is returning to almost pre-COVID normals and levels. So value-based care comes back to life. And as you would expect, it is coming back to life. And that's where we expect new clients to demand that a better version of PRP be launched on our platform. So we will, but not for free. Somebody will pay for its authoring and somebody will pay for its operations. And because our new model is that we don't take the millions of dollars we used to charge for building a network. We ask you to learn how to build the network yourself in the care labs, and we charge you a very small amount, but we want transactional revenue and we want solve-based gas and solve-based token payments and solve-based fees. So everything that used to be fiat in the past is now tokenized. And our clients, if they want to take advantage of a very powerful platform, need to get familiar and comfortable with tokenization. You can work with Solve.Care platform with cash like you could in the past. Now you have to use tokens. So we believe that we have given the market enough time to get used to and get familiar with the idea of the value of Solve.Care. And if you want the power of our platform, you will use Solve token. It's that simple. It's a diktat. It's not something that we are flexible on anymore. Before we were. So PRP program moving forward is a Solve gas-based system, which means that hospitals, clinics who are trying to manage their performance-based risk and trying to maximize their revenue and love the platform, and many do, will have to adopt the Care wallet, Solve as a gas, and our Care Labs-based authoring system. That's our world. That's what it takes to be on the Solve.Care platform. And we are moving these clients who are used to writing a big check to Solve.Care and saying, here's $2 million, go build me a PRP system. We are saying to them, that's not the model. You can work with the Solve community to author networks and cards and journeys for you, but you must use the labs. And you must pay for every transaction a gas fee. And for every wallet-to-wallet transaction, you must pay, the payment is done. Guys, am I visible? Is everything okay? Because I just had a blip on my side. Solve team, please confirm that you can still hear me and that the streaming is still working. I'm going to quickly check with the team. Okay, I will continue because it looks like everything is back to normal. So that's network number one, PRP. PRP was a very successful network. It will be reauthored on the platform with much more functionality for a new set of clients, and we will carry on. Okay. All right. Next network that we did was the NEMT, non-emergency medical transportation with Uber and Lyft. That was a network that was built, again, off protocol. It was built in the Care wallet. It was built for a large public health organization that had a contract with the state in the southern state. I will not provide too much competitive information about them. And the objective of this network was to allow the state to administer the Medicaid non-emergency medical transportation subsidy. And we built that with both Uber and Lyft as the transportation providers. We handed over that network to the entity who is administering it with the objective that they will launch it inside their own operating model. That network was tested, but never launched by the client. And then they lost the contract with the Medicaid agency in their rebid process. They were not able to keep it, so their competitor won it. Then we spent quite a bit of time with their competitor, which is one of the largest insurance companies and one of my ex-colleagues, to see if they are interested in taking the NEMT and launching it inside their environment. The first 18 months, they were just trying to get their arms around the contract, and then came COVID. And same thing happened to them as it happened to everybody else. Nobody went to the hospital. There was hardly any transportation subsidy happening. And they used to have a 75% transportation management team, and they went down to, I believe, less than into single digits. So they have only started to come back to the market saying transportation costs are starting to come back up. Utilization is coming back up. Let's talk. So NEMT is still in their hands, and they will have to decide when they launch. But it depends on when transportation utilization in Medicaid starts to rise again. Looking at the 2022 numbers, it looks like 23 will be almost back to normal. So we think that NEMT will be another network that can be reauthored on the protocol. The big challenge with NEMT always was, as a standalone transportation subsidy, it's a great solution, but it adds greater value if you marry it to other clinical care networks. So I have heard this many times from the clients. This network would have better value for us if it interacts with other care networks. And I agree with that. So our view is that Solve.Care should make every effort next year to reauthor the NEMT onto protocol. And I'll explain what it means to be onto the protocol. The third network that we did was Diabetes Care Network. Diabetes Care Network was also off-protocol network. That network is our greatest success so far. This network was built with the idea of supporting patient, provider, nurse, care coordinator, cardiologist, ophthalmologist, endocrinologist to all collaborate around high-risk diabetic patients. That network had the most functionality of any network we ever built. It cost over $4 million to build. The client paid for that, and we built it and we launched it. And once we launched it, the same question arose: how do I get the diabetic care net patients to also interact with hypertension or with prescription or with transportation? And it became extremely clear that the DCAN network to become truly the #1 diabetes care platform, it needs to work with other other disease conditions and morbidities. Of course, during the COVID time frame, there was not much happening in terms of diabetes care. Again, the world changed. For 2 years, we didn't see normal care patterns to happen at all. But we are extremely close with the client for whom we built the diabetes care network, and we talk on a regular basis, and we are now actively bringing the program back to life in various different shapes and forms. In other words, our client is reselling the diabetes care network to those that they believe are the best beneficiaries of this program, namely big hospital systems. So we leave it in their hands, but there is tremendous amount of activity around DCAN today, and we expect that to continue into next year. What does that mean to you? What that means to Solve.Care and to Solve community is that DCAN will be moved from off protocol to on protocol. That work is happening today. Ahmed has been working on that with the client to move large parts of the DCAN onto the protocol, which means that it becomes interoperable. And we already have new deployments for DCAN contracts being discussed and contracts being pursued. So DCAN is well on its way to moving from off protocol to on protocol. And we don't need to do every single journey. We don't need to move every single journey for DCAN to work. It will take different shapes. It's clear that diabetes care network will also include hypertension or heart health. There'll be many, many variations of DCAN journeys. But as we migrate these journeys from off protocol to on protocol, they become much more useful and much more exciting. And that process is happening. And the relaunch of these journeys is imminent. I don't have fixed dates because I don't have the roadmap in front of me, but there's definitely a series of DCAN journeys launching in the new Care Wallet as early as Q1 2023. The fourth network that we launched was TeamCare. TeamCare was launched in collaboration with Aon in Philippines. And this is around employee wellness and employee mental health, especially as employees go remote. And we know that the remote work is here to stay. No matter what the big boys say, no matter what the big bosses say, there's going to be a heavier component of remote work than we saw before COVID. That's an inevitability, which means TeamCare is very important. TeamCare had many clients. TeamCare as a network is an off-protocol network. It has school systems and it has small clients, many small employers, 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees, 200 employees, 50 employees, all kinds of small employers. They like TeamCare. But again, we believe that TeamCare as an off-protocol network has limited value in the long run. What we need to do is to move TeamCare from off-protocol to on-protocol, which means that every TeamCare journey can interact with diabetes care journey or Uber journey or Lyft journey or interact with a prescription journey. So standalone journeys is where digital health is. All our competition works on standalone journeys. We believe that we can totally change and convert every competitor into a client if we show the interoperability between journeys to be better and better and better. So in a nutshell, TeamCare is a very interesting network that we built. It's not a big revenue producer for us. The fees are quite low. It was always a grabber of more wallets. But there's no point in having people download a TeamCare specific care wallet with minimal interoperability when we can actually bring everything together in the new Care Wallet. So in a nutshell, these four networks are all moving from off protocol to on protocol when we see the market demand and when we have a client sponsor. This brings us to our final and our best option, which is GTHE. And we'll talk about GTHE quite a bit, but let's talk about it in the context of interoperability. So we build GTHE off protocol using a set of technologies which are all familiar to those who write code, React.js for the provider wallet and the care wallet for, React for provider wallet, React.js for the care journeys for GTHE. And we have invested millions into GTHE, and we have launched a massive provider enrollment program around the world, and we have literally hundreds of providers enrolled for GTHE. No matter what anybody wants to say in the market, GTHE achieved its provider engagement goals. But the challenge with GTHE is exactly the same as the other 4 networks. And I made that decision earlier this year. I saw the GTHE adoption patterns, cost of marketing, and cost of patient acquisition. And I also saw the VC and the private equity trend lines around Teladoc and American Well and all the other guys that have tons and tons of money, but they were all starting to see declining utility. Why is that? Well, here is why it is that. During the COVID world, everybody decided that telemedicine is a panacea. I didn't really believe that, but we understood that telemedicine is really important. It's going to be an important part of care delivery. That much is true. But care delivery in online cannot be disintegrated from care delivery in person. They have to live together. You cannot say, well, I'm moving all to digital. You don't go all digital. Some care has to be in facility. Some care is chronic, needs multi-years of multiple teams and multiple years of care. 100% digital is not a solution. It's a good pitch to raise money and to sell a bunch of stock and options to the investors, but it's not really the answer. The answer is physical and telehealth has to be symbiotic. They have to work together. You as a patient should not care or feel the difference when you are dealing with pure telehealth session and when you're in person with a physician, and that should flow as a single continuous care experience for you. Whether you pick up the prescription in the pharmacy or it gets delivered by a drone to your home, the experience is still the same. You know that this prescription is the right prescription based on this disease condition prescribed by this doctor. I have always believed that telemedicine will have to merge into the care model, not replace it. So GTHE was designed to not just deliver care in the concept of I can do a fancy FaceTime call with my doctor, but to fit into other care delivery processes, be it eligibility or referral or payment or care coordination or care continuity, care gaps. Everything that you do in the physical world that's really, really hard, it needs to happen in the digital world, but better. So GTHE was launched off protocol, and I stopped that project in March, April timeframe when the war broke out for 2 reasons. One, because the war broke out and our team was completely impacted by that. And second, I was looking at all the growth and adoption curve and going, how is this going to achieve true sustainable transformation? And the answer was clear: interoperability. GTHE has to interact with DCAN, has to interact with team care, has to interact with PRP, has to interact with NEMT. The sum of these parts is greater than the parts themselves. So I went back to the team and I asked, okay, guys, we're going to have to connect all these networks together. And I heard what I didn't like, which is, well, to make these networks interoperable, we're going to have to build some kind of a bridge. And I said, that's not our goal. Our goal is to have all these networks interoperate naturally through the care wallet. And the answer became, well, to do that, we got to move these networks onto protocol. And the decision was absolutely, let's move all these networks that need to be moved onto protocol, be moved onto the protocol. So in a nutshell, every single care network that is off protocol today will either be shut down or moved on to the protocol. Why would we shut it down? Because nobody's buying. Why would nobody buy? Because it doesn't add any value. But if we provide online real-time interoperability between journeys, the value is clear and evident. So I expect that PRP will move onto the protocol. That's a high degree of certainty in my mind. I believe NEMT will move on to the protocol. I have a very high degree of certainty on that based on client feedback. I believe DCAN will move to the protocol because it's already moving. I believe GTHE must move to the protocol. We're not doing that today. We will do it next year when we have the appropriate focus on that. But it must move to protocol for it to be a market leader, not a Me Too player. And team care is in question. I want to see over the next 3 to 6 months, where does the dust settle? Does the at-home work properly blend in with the in-office work, or do we end up with a model that I don't fully understand? So my view is that Team Care, we have the option to wait and see. One, it's not a big revenue producer. Second, it's not a clinical network. So the interoperability between Team Care and GTHE, while it produces significant value, in my mind, isn't enough or necessary for Team Care to be there. You can just use GTHE to do what you were going to do in Team Care. So nutshell is 4 out of 5 networks, I see clear pathway to moving on to the protocol next year. 1, I'm not sure, but when I become sure, I'll let you know, because I'm not seeing the ROI just yet. So those are my answers on the protocol, on versus off. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. What happens to all old off-protocol networks? I've answered that. How can users continue to utilize them? Of course, the current users can use the old version of the Care wallet. That's fine. That's not a problem. But the Care wallet, as it stands as a product today, is an on-protocol wallet and must be so. All networks must interact. I, as a patient, or my mom as a patient, should never have to worry about whether one network is on and one network is off. She doesn't even know what the heck that means. So everything she wants to do in the wallet should be interoperable with everything else she wants to do in the wallet. And that means that everything must be on protocol. And that's what we did all year this year. We made a very conscious choice that everything will be on protocol or it won't be on our platform. And whatever is off protocol will be moved onto the protocol, or it will be shut down, because we don't want to support off protocol networks beyond end of next year. So we're going to work with our clients to make sure that everything moves onto the protocol in 2023, or we will end of life that network and replace it with a newer, better network on the protocol. It's not necessary to author the old networks as a copy on the new protocol. We can make it better. The protocol gives us more functionality than we had before. So therefore, it makes more sense to reimagine the network than to duplicate it. And I think that's what will happen to Team Care. Okay, let me go back and look at the questions. There is a question about Care Lab's pricing plan and why pricing set here are thought to be commercially viable. Let's take a look at what pricing model is this question referring to. I do not know if you guys have seen it, but let me bring it up. Okay, let's bring up this pricing model so we all know what we're talking about. So the question is, why is this, how is this viable? Well, it's very viable, guys. It's very simple. The free Imaginarium is meant to be used for anyone to build a network to understand the concept of Care wallet, Care protocol, Care networks, Care journeys, Care cards, wallet users, Solve token, gas fee payment. Obviously, you want to educate as many independent developers, physicians, pharmacists, nurses, hospital systems, insurance companies, public health programs, pharmaceuticals, employers, brokers. Why would you not want to educate them? Isn't that the idea, to transform healthcare? Imaginarium is free for a reason. We want anybody and everybody to experiment with building a care network. Most won't, but they'll try. And the feeling they should walk away with is, this is pretty easy. I can do some pretty cool stuff. And I can have a blockchain-enabled, tokenized transaction system that's fully healthcare compliant, that has HIPAA and GDPR and high tech and high trust and FedRAMP capabilities of this platform right behind it. And I can do what I cannot do in my EMR for millions of dollars. I can do that in a day for free. Why wouldn't you want to send that message? That is our message. Now, building a 3-node network is good to play with. It's good to try. It's good to understand the concepts. It's good to see what you can do. It's good to free up your imagination. But to launch a real network in the market, you need to have either a commercial use or an enterprise use Imaginarium or Care Labs. And for that, you need to contact us and we will discuss with you how big a network you want to build, how many nodes you need to test, how big is your testing universe, how big is your deployment universe, and we'll give you care labs at a cost based on that. We think it's a very effective model, and it's working. I will not share the pipeline because there are people watching here who would run to those clients and start offering their services, and this happens all the time. But our pipeline is robust. The amount of clients that we had in the pipeline before Care Labs was launched, we are 10 times bigger pipeline. We're dealing with a 10 times bigger pipeline. Our pipeline is exploding because of Care Labs. So we think the model is working. I see no issues with it. Second point, the only criteria, the only KPI for Care Labs is to get more care networks built. So let's put things in perspective. Last 5 years, we built 5 care networks. Next year, we're going to build 10 in a single year. So obviously, the Care Labs model works. If you build 1 network a year for the first 5 years and you build 10 in the subsequent year, and 10 is a conservative number. Now, we're not going to build these networks. The reason 10 networks can be built next year is because we're helping clients build their own. We don't need to sit there and build DCAN for the client. The client can enhance DCAN themselves once it moves on to the protocol. So why would we have no doubts that the Care Labs model is working. We have no doubts that the upcoming announcements will prove to you what we are doing. So I see no issues. I see 0 issues with the Care Labs pricing. We're not looking to make money from Care Labs, guys. Care Labs is a authoring environment. We are making money from Solve utility. The money we want to make is Solve gas, Solve token payments, and Solve fee payments. And we are looking for node fees. We are looking for recurring revenue. Care Labs is a authoring environment. I'd rather give it away. Of course, we're not giving it away, but there is some cost we have to compensate for. But Imaginarium is free to build something simple. It's not expensive to build something very complex. And if you build a really powerful care network, which many clients are, the community member, will see tremendous utility. So that's what we are after. We're after Solve token utility. We're after care wallet utility. We're after care protocol being used to solve many healthcare issues. And we're after being the Amazon of healthcare by building a network of networks that gives every patient on the planet access to the right care at the right time from whatever they are legally and financially able to do. Our job is to build a better experience for patient than they have ever seen today. And the only way you do that is you get them access to the right care. One of the things I want to comment on, I'm going to digress for a moment. I have some really, really great feedback from the community about the Care Wallet and its design. And I 100% agree with you. Adrian in particular has sent me some beautiful alternative designs for the Care card. And I absolutely agree with that we need to have sexier design, cleaner design, the design that cuts across ethnic and cultural and age and language barriers, a design that is pure and simple, the design that resonates with grandma and with granddaughter. I agree with that. But there's something more important than design, and that is the availability of care. We're not Instagram, we're not Snapchat, we are here to deliver care to every single human being on the planet. We are here that a single mother who has a sick child and no spouse to help cater to this, pick up the kid and take it to the doctor, to find care when she has no other alternative, and find it quickly and find it find it cheaply and find it at the level she can pay. This is our mission, to be the global network of care networks around the world for every disease condition, every specialty, every geography, and every payment model and every price point. And that's why I always tell my team, this journey is long, but we are going to win it, because nobody else has had the ability to believe and execute on this vision as we have. And with the availability of Care Labs, we get closer to that. We get extremely close to that vision. We see that execution starting. I'm not talking about future, guys. I'm talking about today. There is a pipeline of customers using the Care Labs to build care networks. Our problem is there's a lot, perhaps too many, and that's a good problem. We will bring in more people to help customers build more networks. But to be able to build 10 networks in a year when you build one network every year for the last 5 is a pretty big acceleration of our vision. And Care Labs made that happen. I will tell you that I'm not happy with Care Labs. Everything I just told you, I'm going to tell you something different. I'm not happy with Care Labs. I think it's too complex. I think it needs to be made simpler. I think it needs to be made where a doctor can author a card, not in a day, but in an hour. Right now, our mission statement for Care Labs is card in a day, journey in a week, network in a month. Pretty simple. You should be able to author a card in a day, journey in a week, and network in a month. Cool. Great. Pradeep couldn't have done that at Blue Cross for 5 years and $5 million if what a Care Labs can do in a month. Wonderful. Great. Saving tons of money, getting people like me who are cynical CIOs excited and saying, holy crap, this is good. Not good enough. It's not good enough. I want a card in an hour. I want journey in a day. I want network in a week. That's where we need to get to. And we need to make Care Labs cheap or cheaper or as cheap as it needs to be to both support a wide adoption of Care Labs around the world, but also to make sure that more networks are getting authored. We don't want Care Labs to be a blocker. We want Care Labs to be an enabler. So Care Labs is an enabler today, but it's a blocker in the sense that it still takes too long. It's way faster than anything else in the market, anything the world has ever seen in terms of healthcare networks. You cannot imagine, I could not imagine when working on Obamacare or working at Blue Cross or at a WebMD or at Dakota Imaging or at EngagePoint, all my previous responsibilities, authoring a network in a month, forget about it. It's 18 months to 3 years, and it's millions and millions of dollars, and you put your career on the line when you start a new care network, like the one you can do on Care Labs now in a month. Wow. Is it real? Can you really do it, Solve.Care? Wow, you can? I'm in. That's why our pipeline is exploding. But that's not good enough, guys. It's not the CIO I care about. It's not me. It's the doc. It's the patient. It's the grandmother I care about. So we need to bring it down another notch. And that should be our mission and is our mission for 2023, to make the card happen in an hour, not in a day. 8 times faster than we can do it today. That's our goal. So Care Labs pricing is not a revenue generator. Care Labs pricing is a cost coverage mechanism. The revenue comes from utility of Solve in the care network, downloading of more care wallets to connect to more care networks. So that's the, in a nutshell, the answer about why is Care Labs so cheap? It's cheap because it needs to be. Let's go to next question. And this is a really good question, and I've been asking for this. Which block explorer can the community see the blockchain transactions between users and networks on the platform? So the answer is Raj and team have prototyped a chain explorer or chain scanner that we wanted to publish this year, but I held off on it, and we will refine and publish it next year. There are 2 very fundamental issues. One is the community needs to see transactions. No question. We want to see it too. We would love to have a counter on our website showing number of wallet-to-wallet transactions, amount of gas fee earned, and so on. So you can see the progression. That is so exciting and so encouraging to the community. It brings in more enthusiasts into the market and so on and so forth. So it's a good thing. But there's a second thing which is equally important. These events that happen on inside a care network, they are very important in the sense that they also show you how care is working or how care is not working. You can easily compute that if you have 1,000 care wallets and only 800 got their A1C checked, and it's a diabetes care network, you know that 20% of the patients aren't getting proper care. And that's very important information. But that information can be very valuable or very damaging to the client. So we need to figure out how to make sure that we create a 2-tier scanner, one where we show the aggregated event view between wallets, wallet to wallet, within and across networks. There's a lot of different event types. How do we present the event type without exposing the payload or the event originator. We don't want to publish the wallet ID. We don't want to publish the network ID because that will create potentially legal risk for our clients. But if they choose to make certain data public, then that will become available in the tier 1 scanner. So we need to have a scanner for the network. We need to have a scanner for the network of networks in a simple nutshell. Scanner for network of networks is what community really wants, and we will give it to you. And the scanner for network is what the client wants, and we need to finish that, and we need to make sure that they are both properly configurable. So in our world, what the community will be able to see is the aggregate view of any Care wallet around the world interacting with any other Care wallet without identifying which network the wallet is participating in. Now, you may say, why is that important? Well, guys, it is very important. It's protected health information. Let's imagine that I am a person of some prominence living in a rural community, where there's only 500-700 people, 1,000 people. It's not New York. And I'm going to join a care network, let's say around mental health or around sexual disease or around abuse survivor network, or I'm going to get a network around depression or Alzheimer's or dementia. These are things that I wouldn't want to publicize in my community, that I'm seeking medical help for this. I wouldn't want any way that somebody can correlate my visit to the doctor, where they see me entering the doctor's office, with my utility on the network and say, this must be Pradeep, who is the one who has joined this network recently, because I can see his event on the chain. We can't do that. People's lives will be destroyed, their reputations will be destroyed, and they can sue us, and they should. So we need to have a private scanner for the network for the client who sponsors the network. And even there, the private scanner, the private network scanner cannot, or not private, but network scanner cannot expose the identity of the wallet. And we need to have an aggregated network of network scanners. So what the guys built was too much information, which would allow too much to be construed, and we can't do that. So we will give you a network of network scanner. We already have it. We need to work through it to make sure it shows the right information. And the rest will be organized into the network scanner, or the network of network scanner. So it has been a wish of mine to have this network scanner, our network of network scanners out there. And it really wasn't useful in the closed network world that we had prior to Care Labs, where each network was its own ecosystem. But in the new Care wallet, where all networks are interoperable, this scanner makes sense. It makes a tremendous amount of sense. It needs to be done. I don't have it on the roadmap specifically, but I will work with James, and I will ask community members and my team members who are listening to make sure that we publish the quarter in which the network of network scanners can be made available to all of you. And I want to see it as much as you do. So that's a very good suggestion and a question. I just got a clarification on the question about the pricing. The question is a little bit different than I understood. So let me answer that question. Question is Solve.Care going to generate enough revenue to be successful? The answer is yes. The question comes from the basic misunderstanding or lack of clarity from our side on how is the price to the client denominated. So we mentioned in the previous AMA that the client may pay 0.01 solve. The premise of that is based on certain solve token price. But in the contract with the client, the way the contracts are written, the client pays us X dollars per wallet per month per network. Let me repeat that. The client pays us X dollars per wallet per month per network. Plus, the client pays us, the client being the network sponsor, pays us a per transaction fee, which from a client perspective is denominated or contracted in as 1 cent per event for most events and 2 cents for events for Care Data Node events. technicalities, you don't need to worry about them, but those are the pricing. Now, if Solve token is $100, obviously that's going to be a very, very small fraction of a token. If the Solve is $1, then it'll be basically 1/100th of a Solve per event. So 0.01 Solve is assuming Solve is at $1. Now, when we sign the contract, we sign the contract in fixed fiat price value paid in Solve. The client cannot pay us in wire. They cannot send money to a bank account. They have to deposit enough Solve in their master wallet, which is withdrawn every day against the number of participating wallets and number of events that happen between those wallets. But there is another really important point that I want you to think about. You have a Care wallet, okay? You are a 55-year-old man. You have some pre-chronic conditions. You have a couple of, concerning conditions, and you're going to join on average 3 to 4 networks. One for, let's say, primary care, one for cardiology, heart health, maybe one for diabetes management, one for weight loss, maybe one for occasional, coaching or psychological support that you need. So you're going to join 5 networks. So we generate 5. We charge per network, per wallet, per month. So 5 different clients, each of whom he sponsors a network that you have joined, are paying us the per wallet per month fee. That's why it's called per wallet per month per network. And this creates network effect, network effect. Plus, every client will pay us the 1 cent to 2 cents per event that your wallet consumes or generates, primarily generates, and they'll pay all of that in Solve token. When we compute this revenue against the network pipeline that we have and the pipeline that we expect to be very profitable company, and we expect enormous Solve utility. I would love to show you our revenue graph that we have projected that we believe we will achieve over the next 5 years, starting with 2023, starting with the networks that are being authored on our platform, and looks fantastic. And it is something that will absolutely blow away any expectations of Solve utility and blockchain adoption in the real world. We will clearly lead the market to a new level. And I'm not sure that we should show you that revenue chart because it can fall in the wrong hands. So it is something that I need to think about on how much we share with you in terms of precision, but you can be sure we have very precise revenue models. And you can be sure that the board and the investors who are looking to invest in Solve.Care are tearing apart the revenue model and going, are you sure you can achieve that kind of growth? And at some point, retrospectively, when we have achieved that growth, you will be able to see those models. But I don't believe that it is in the best interest of the community or Solve.Care or investors to share that model because it's a projection. And projections in the hands of unsophisticated investors are dangerous. They are, in fact, illegal. So I want to be careful. But your question is very simply this. Hey, guys, have you priced the token, the gas fee, the payment fee? Well, really, we make money 3 different ways. It's very simple. You can understand this without me showing you the details. Every network participant, we get a network participation fee. It's called per network, per wallet, per month. We get a transaction fee for every transaction the wallet does. And we get an add-on fee for things that people want to sell through our platform, like a ride or a device or a vitamin box or prescription or content or education or videos, whatever you want to sell as a valuable health content or product or service through the Care marketplace, we get a revenue share. 3 things. We are the combination of Amazon and App Store for healthcare. It's that simple. It's Amazon in terms of network of networks. Amazon sells you sweaters. We sell you diabetes care. So it's Amazon on one side and App Store on the other. That's the combination. That's what we do. That's how we make money. And yes, our pricing model is designed to achieve three things. We don't want to have a Care Wallet cost per month to exceed $2 net of all things. And we are absolutely conscious of that price barrier. We don't want to breach that ceiling to be highly competitive. We want to make sure that one wallet joins more than one network, which creates a network effect. And we make sure that we can continuously add on digital therapies and physical products to the network to enrich the network and to make the person's digital and physical experience symbiotic, seamless. That's what we're doing. And our revenue looks fantastic. Not easy to achieve, not achieved today, but absolutely achievable. And we are working hard to achieve it. So if you're worried that we don't know how to price a product, don't worry. We know how to price a product, not just from a point of view of token, but from a point of view of healthcare utility. And we price a product exactly where it needs to be for a small, large, or extra large health system, public health agency, NHS, or Medicare, or Medicaid, or insurance companies, or individual doctors, or multi-practice clinics, or large delivery health systems, or international pharmaceutical companies, all of them to be able to afford our product. We're looking for scale, and we know how to price to that market. So we are good. But I will not share with you the revenue projections because you may misunderstand, or the wrong people will see it, and they will say, wait a second, what Solve.Care is trying to do, I have more money, let me try to do it. A lot of you believe that everything about Solve.Care is public, and there is not much that we need to hide or protect. That's not true. Ideas are public. You know the Uber as an idea. You all know Amazon as an idea. How come you're not running Amazon right now? How come there is not another Amazon in India? Yes, it takes a lot of capital, but it also takes execution. It takes also all the secret business practices that are not public. We all know how Apple sells their iPhones, but we all don't know how they make sure that the iPhone is built to the standard of quality and at a price point where they make a ton of money. There are lots of corporate secrets, which are best practices and knowledge and connections, contacts, relationships, management that go into building a company. So we share with you everything we can. We're not going to share with you so much that competition, not you, but the people who wish us harm are going to use that information and hurt us. I have to always protect the team and the company and your participation in this company. You are a community member, but you're a very vested community member. You really care for this project, and my job is to make sure this product and this company succeed. So we will tell you what we can, and what we are telling you is very simple. You want to know our pricing model. It's three things: network participation fee, gas fee, and add-on fees. And the combined effect of that is extraordinary revenue growth for us. Okay. Let's move forward. There is a question about the large city government to launch a solution at risk. Yes, absolutely. Ahmed and I have been working on that project for a while. This project started in summer. We have prototyped several journeys for the city officials to take a look at. We were told in about September timeframe that everything is on the right track, but elections are coming. Let's hold off and wait for elections to pass. Normal city behavior. I warned you this in June that this is a huge opportunity, but it also requires navigating government procurement. We also got certified as a vendor, which took us about 3.5 months. It is a requirement. You have to be a certified city vendor to do business with the city. That process was completed about, I'm not sure, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but not much longer than that. It was sometime in October or early November that we got certified as a city vendor, which was a critical step. Took a while, normally does. Journeys are prototype. In a nutshell, the progress is there at the speed we expected. I would like it to be faster. I think come January, we will pick up more speed there. And we are being helped by our pipeline. Nobody wants to be on the cutting edge. People like to be just behind others who have taken risk. So with our pipeline, a number of networks being authored by very prestigious clients, and as we begin to publish those clients in the market, and you will all hear about them, obviously, as that pipeline of networks rolls out, it becomes easier and easier for big city, state, federal government to adopt our platform. But that is not the only city we are working with. I want to be clear. Our traction is growing rapidly, both in commercial and government space. And we have multiple cities we are working with now, not one. We want to win them all, but we're not betting our company on one big adoption. We have many big adoption opportunities in the pipeline. I'm not talking about something that we have to chase down. I mean, pipeline of networks that need to be authored, where client has said, I want this network to be done. When can you do it? Or when can I do it? So our pipeline is explosive. I'm very pleased with it. If there is one highlight of 2022, it's the fact that our network pipeline has gone from largely empty during COVID to massive, and that's a very good thing. So the city project is on track, slow but moving forward. No change of direction. We expect them and other cities to join and launch networks. You seem not to engage with your community to test products prior to their launch. Any reason why this is the case? I think it's a question of timing. In my view, we should have always engaged the city or community in testing our products. And I think that we sometimes tend to move very fast and we feel that community engagement can slow us down. I disagree with that. And I think that community should be engaged more. We are currently looking at coming up with a formal structure of community engagement. And one proposal within Solve.Care is doing something like a bug bounty, where our community is rewarded for finding bugs in our software. And I think that'll be excellent. Any which way, we got to engage the community. And the only reason I think it has not been done is because we just weren't ready and organized enough to both put the product out there and then to gather feedback properly and then to test it, organize that feedback into roadmap and so on. James Norman joined us as our CTO a few months ago, and that has taken a lot of load off me. And I'm able to focus on business development and client acquisition and investor relations and things that CEOs should do. But before, there was a lot of time that I was spending on the product and on the development and so on. And it was a challenge for me because I'm splitting myself very thin, or was. I still am, but more hiring needs to be done. But with James coming on board, I have been able to transfer the day-to-day responsibility and also the strategic and product management activity. So that is starting to have an impact, the right kind of impact. And I think these kind of initiatives that have been long desired, but never physically possible given our bandwidth, are starting to come to a more reasonable probability. My number one worry throughout 2021 and 2022 was deadline management. That when we make commitment to deadlines, we must meet them. And we struggle with that. We struggled with that really badly in 2021. And which is why I made some drastic changes in the company. They weren't enough. We needed to bring a senior leader who dedicates his time to this. I know James is still new, he's still getting his feet wet, but we're very encouraged by having a CTO dedicate himself to full-time management. So as a result of all that, I think these kind of initiatives that are being proposed, community engagement, are very good. And I have very clear ideas on what I think the community should be doing: testing the product, translating the product, and authoring new networks. Community should come up with use of our care labs and play with it and create more journeys and networks. Even if you are not clinician or an insurance exec, we want you to start dreaming of a better health system, a more just, more equitable, more open health system. So those three things, testing the product, translating the product, and using the product, should be what the community should be engaged in. And I will encourage James to get in touch with the community more frequently, listen to you all, and work with you all to launch programs where you can participate. Zero objection from my side. It's just a question of bandwidth. Before we didn't have it. Now I think we can move into that organized development space with James at the helm. I want to be careful not to put too high an expectation on him at this stage. There are many things that he has to do that are urgent, that need to be done, like launching a version of the Care Wallet in in multiple languages. The big deal needs to be done. He's been working on it, supporting all the network authoring and so on. These are all very important things. But all in all, I think we are able to engage the community better. Guys, give me a second. Some people just arrived and started to speak very loudly here. I'm going to move with. Okay, let's continue. I changed my location a little bit, and we will continue. And I'll check with my team to make sure that I think it's, see what are the questions we have here. All right. I just see a note in the community that some people are not happy with the questions being answered. Guys, there are 37 questions. We have gone through about 18 of them. So if you have questions, post them. We will answer them. And if it's not today, then I'll answer them tomorrow. But in the end, you're going to get tired also. We've already been at it for an hour, 40 minutes. Everybody's questions will be answered. So don't worry that your question hasn't yet been answered. We'll get to it. And if you don't get to it today, we'll get to it tomorrow. We can do 3 AMA sessions. We can do 5. We don't have a problem answering your questions as long as we are able to share the information that you're requesting. And if not, we will tell you that we can't answer this question. It's not appropriate, or this is not safe. But to the degree that the question can be answered without jeopardizing the company, it will be answered. So let's move on. All right. Let me go through all the questions. What happens to all the old off-protocol networks? I covered that. Detailed status on all the old off-protocol networks, I've covered that. Care Lab pricing, I've covered that. Block Explorer, I've covered that. Actual platform usage, transactions related, how will you show it? I've covered that. Large city government, I've covered that. You can now call it large city governments. Engaging the community to test products to launch, any reason? Absolutely agree. Can be done, will be done. We didn't have the bandwidth to do it. With James, I'm looking forward to seeing you all engaged. Okay, the next one. Are there any recent headway in getting more important clients, partnerships, and networks from other areas apart from Korea? Okay, guys, there are 3 questions buried in here. First is, do we have headway? We have enormous headway. I've already mentioned that our pipeline is exploding in a good way. Second question is, are these networks or partnerships? Networks and partnerships. So pipeline is only networks. Partnership is not a pipeline item. Partnership is a network enrichment partnership. Networks belong in the pipeline. What matters to me is this network going to be deployed and accessible to the Care Wallet? Will it consume and spend Solve tokens? And will this deliver better healthcare to the patients? That's a network. Partnerships deliver better networks. You can be a device partner with us, which makes our networks better. You can be selling us transportation services, which we can make offer to every network through the platform. Platform partners add to the platform capability, which enrich the network. The network is what generates revenue, not partnerships. Partnerships don't create revenue. Networks do. Partnerships create more revenue by building better networks. But that's all they're doing. So we have tons of partnerships, but what I care about is networks, and our network pipeline is exploding. Now, why Korea? Korea is very important to us, but not the only place we are in. If you look at a network pipeline, we have them. Well, you can't see them, but I'll tell you. You have majority of the networks in the US. Then you have networks in Korea, which is the second highest group of networks. Then you got networks in Middle East, and you got networks in Latin America, and you got networks in Africa and EU. The highest volume of networks is the United States. Second highest is Korea. Those two make up 85% of our pipeline, and the 15% of the pipeline is spread over the rest of the world. Simply because we don't have enormous amount of business development or account management resources today. And that's something that we can easily grow when we have the resources to grow. But we have plenty of business coming from US, and we have plenty of business coming from Korea. And that gives us that critical mass that we're looking for. So yes, it's not just Korea. It's actually predominantly US, with Korea being the second biggest country in the world in terms of network count. Okay, let's go back to your questions. Actually, let's stay with Korea, because there are many Korean questions, and then we'll come to the rest of them. So, can the progress and plans for Korea be presented in an easy to understand visual manner, like a roadmap or infographic? Sure. I will show you an infographic right now. It has not been published. It will probably change. So do not see this as the set in stone network, but I will show you our Korea plans very quickly. I was not going to, but why not? But understand this can change. It's not fixed in stone, but this is what James has currently published. So this is our Korean product version release roadmap that James presented to me a few days ago. This is not fixed. This can change. We might modify it, minor or major modifications to this, but this is what we are currently looking at. So there are 4 tracks: Care Wallet in Korean, Care Cards in Korean, Care Labs in Korean, and Care Labs training program within High University, which launches in literally in about a week's time. This is the roadmap as we see it today. I think it will change, because there are a few things that I want to add here that are not here. And James and I will discuss and finalize. But this is what he's executing today. And unless I change something here, this is what he's doing. This is not final. This will change. So do not come back to me in a few weeks and say, hey, he showed me a roadmap and it changed. It will change. But this is the roadmap as it stands today. Okay, let's go to the next question. Some of these are just criticisms. I will address them. We only talk about positive things. We don't talk about negative things. I'm more than happy to discuss negative things. I want to understand what you want to understand. Every company has issues. Every business is complex. Healthcare is uber complex, and we are a global healthcare platform. Our business is extraordinarily complex. I've been in healthcare for 30 plus years. I've built 5 health tech companies. I've never built a company more complex than Solve.Care. Not because I want it to be complex, because it is. And we deal with hundreds of problems a day, hundreds. So when we come talk to you, we focus on results. Because unless you want to come and run the company with me, and you have the skill set to do so, then show up. We got plenty of job openings. But otherwise, I have to present to you results. I have to give you what we accomplished. I'm not going to tell you the really tough meetings that I have 10 times a day. I'm not going to tell you the challenges that we have when we are negotiating a contract, or when we are testing a product and I send it back to the drawing board because I don't like it. There is tons of challenges every day. The team can tell you about them. But what's the point? Your job as a community member is to understand where we are going, give us guidance, and give us clarity on where you think we are and are not connecting with you. But we're not expecting you to, nor are we interested in having a community-run company. Community participates in our success, in our growth, in our progress. Community guides us, shapes us, criticizes us. Absolutely. It tells us that we are not presenting and following the right roadmap. Absolutely. Everything you want to say to us, we are ready to hear. If it is constructive, we are more than ready to hear. But we are not going to have a management in a fishbowl. If I'm going to fire somebody, I'm going to fire somebody. I'm not going to come to the community and ask for permission. If I'm going to hire somebody, I'm going to hire somebody. I'm not going to ask for permission. I'll tell you. Which brings us to the next question. What happened with the former CFO? Only thing that I can say here is that when we brought our previous couple of senior managers in, and we have a great management team today. But when we bring in senior managers of any kind, financial or any other function, one always hopes for those people to integrate properly in the rest of the team, where they become part of the team. Sometimes that happens, sometimes that doesn't. My job is to try to make it happen. Sometimes I do a good job at it, sometimes I don't. It all boils down to two parties being able to work together in a way that is net value creation, and not just for the company, but for individuals. So every time we hire someone, we have big hopes and we work with them closely and we do our best and they do their best inevitably. But at the same time, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it didn't in this particular case. The reasons are many, but I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I'm not going to say anything bad about the company. But what I will say is that, so say hello to my son, Adrian. He just came by to say hello. I will come to you later, honey. You guys go eat breakfast. So in case of Ian, he and I worked very well together for a period of time, and then we didn't. So he left the company. It wasn't my decision, it was his. At least that's the way I see it. And now we have some open disputes that we're dealing with. I would have liked to have dealt with those disputes in a better way than they're being dealt with, but they will be dealt with. So end of the day, we thank Ian for his service. He was right there with me through very difficult periods, but we have disagreements on things and we will resolve them one way or the other. There's nothing more I will say on that, because it does not pay to say anything bad about anyone or any situation, because everybody does what they think is right. But I am continuing to run the company the way I see the best for the company and best for the team and best for the community and best for the clients. And Ian is no longer with us. That change happened right after the war began. Maybe it had a role to play, maybe it didn't, who knows? But end of the day, during the 2022, we had to deal with the fact that we lost Ian and we lost Sandra. But we are continuing on and we are doing very well. The results speak for themselves. Now, next question. What are the plans to replace him? So our priority was CTO, done. That was our first priority. The second priority was Chief Legal Officer. We call them General Counsel, done. That person starts first week of January. Thank you, Tom. Brilliant job. Well done. And the third priority is CFO, which is an open position. So my three primary objectives, two were done this year, one wasn't. Two we have to do next year. The two priorities for hiring next year, there's only two things I have to hire to complete the management team, CFO and CRO. And we have a complete management team. Maria has already stepped into the COO role, for which I'm very grateful. She's done a bang-up job there. She also carries the CMO role. God bless her. No other person could carry the COO and CMO role together, but she does, and does that with a smile. We have our general counsel hired. We have our CTO in place. We have Raj as a chief architect. I am only missing two roles, CFO and CRO, and we are going to fill them. CFO first, CRO second. And then we have a complete management team. And the hockey stick growth we are talking about can be done even if I get hit by the proverbial truck. That's what I want to do, to make sure the company can run without me. I don't want to leave just yet. Someday I will, but till I have the team ready, I'm not going anywhere, but the team is getting ready. Treasury plan, any changes? No. Treasury plan is not approved by the CFO. Treasury plan is approved by the board, and the board will change if they will change it, but there is no changes. The treasury plan was presented by CFO, but it's not his plan, it's company's plan. He simply presented it. We will continue to present the same plan because nothing has changed. Nothing will change till we tell you, and I don't expect it to change. The company said to have plans to bring in CRO and CLO. Yes, CLO is done. CRO, I mentioned, will be hired after the CFO. The next question is a really big topic, fundraising. So, as you know, Solve.Care has not raised any venture capital. Solve.Care has not raised any private equity. We have not taken any debt. We didn't issue a bond. We didn't take on any kind of a big credit line. Everything is being done by being very, very conservative in how we spend our money. We have generated tons of revenue. not Solve token revenue as much as I want, but cash revenue, tons of it. And that's how we have funded the huge investment in the platform. To put things in perspective, we have invested over the last 5 years, something north of $50 million in the company and in the platform. Those are my estimates, hard and soft money combined. It's a big investment that didn't come from venture capital or debt equity or a debt or equity sale. So we've done really well. But now the time has come for us to raise capital. We had 2 times in the past where we tried to raise capital. Both times we were not successful. First time was when we tried to raise capital in Asia in 2019. I spent 6-7 months in Asia, Hong Kong, Korea, Singapore, working with an investment banker who was a really good investment banker with his partners. And they did a really good job getting us in front of a lot of companies, strategic investors, and so on. And just as we were getting ready to sign a term sheet, the world blew up. We had COVID come in and everybody went into a complete lockdown and our term sheets fell apart. We were okay with that. We understood that nobody can control the situation. So we said, fine, let's just button down all the costs. Let's be very, very tight and let's move forward. And we did. And we pivoted towards putting all our attention on building the platform. And that was a good decision. The results are clear. The second time we tried to raise capital was GTHE. We tried to raise capital with GTHE under a very specific program called EB5. EB5 is a green card acceleration program, if I can use layman term, not a legal term, where you commit to investing in US company and as a result, you get an accelerated residency and eventually a green card. EB5 program that we were participating in was very, very attractive. And this is one of the things that Ian and I were working on very closely. But then the law changed rapidly. They changed the structure of the EB5 fundamentally. And as a result, companies that can get funded in EB5 have a very different composition, mostly construction projects, buildings, hospitals, not software or technology. So we pulled back and we said, okay, the EB5 program isn't suitable for us. We went back to the board and said, what do we want to do? And the answer was clear. Wait it out. Get your platform in the market, get marquee clients on the platform, get a handful of networks that are really game-changing networks, authored and launched, and then go back and raise capital from venture capital. So that's what we are doing. That's what we plan to do. The work is underway. The pitch deck is being prepared. But I want to make sure that the CFO is by my side before I go and speak to venture capital, because they're going to want to know who's going to manage the money. And that's not me. So therefore, yes, this will be our third try to raise capital, guys. We were, I wouldn't say the word unlucky, but our timing was not great with both of those. Nothing we could have done. Now people say, hey, it's a bear market. How are you going to raise capital? Guys, smart money invests for the future, not for the past. Smart money doesn't invest for the market as is. They invest for where the market is going. We don't have a problem with smart money. We're not looking for retail investor. We're looking for institutional, serious institutional investor with a long-term view who understands where the market is going. We're looking for the likes of Andreessen Horowitz, not an individual retail investor. We're not even looking for high net worth individuals, although we'll work with them if they show up, as long as they are strategic. So yes, the market is tough. Yes, the conditions may not be perfect, but life is always imperfect. So we're not going to sit around and complain about inflation or about the bear market sentiment. It just makes our job harder, but not impossible. And we have interviewed several investment bankers who understand platform investing, and we will choose one. But first of all, I'm looking for a CFO to be hired before I can proceed. So Q1, we will launch the investment series offering directly into Solve.Care, which would mean that it won't be a network fund financing. It will be a direct financing of Solve.Care Foundation. And that process will take time, but we intend to do that in 2023, starting January 3rd. I have also added a new board member, which we will announce soon when we feel the time is ready, his identity, who will help us with the fundraising, which I think will be enormous help, already is. So fundraising has been 2 times we have tried. 2 times we have not completed the round. This time we must. So we will try again. This will be the 3rd time. But I'm absolutely confident that the lessons learned from the last 2 times, plus the team that I have now, plus the CFO that I plan to bring in with capital market experience, we will be able to close the round. There are no guarantees, but there is a high probability that in 2023, we will close the round that we want to close, simply because we have a great set of clients, and those clients, anybody would want to invest. A company that has that kind of a client base, that kind of a marquee client logos, is very investable, and that's Solve.Care. Okay, let's go to, let me scroll back up because there's lots and lots of questions. Let me go to the community chat quickly and see if there are questions here. Team, Solve.Care team, are there any questions that are not on the list? Or did I miss any questions? And community members, those who are listening, if your questions have been missed, then let's get them published to the community chat and we will pick them up. Let me go through the document here again. We covered definitize in detail. I see some questions that I did miss. So let's go on to one GTHE question that has not been answered. Will GTHE still happen? Yes, it will, because I believe in it. And I think an on-protocol GTHE that interacts with every other network is an extraordinarily powerful thing. So yes, it needs to happen. It will happen. Second, have this decision been made? Yes, it has been made. The GTHE will interact with all other networks as an on-protocol network. Third question, has GTHE ever been used to connect an independent provider and an actual patient in a real paid teleconsultation? In a controlled setting, yes. We still have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of providers enrolled in GTHE who are awaiting the launch of a new wallet and an on-protocol journeys. So all our investment in GTHE remains in place, including the onboarding process, the credentialing process, all the people who've been credentialed. We need to give them a new wallet with new set of journeys. And that's what I am referring to as on protocol. Next question I might have missed. I think I've answered all of these. Let's go to another section called Koreans are Winners program. Now, this is not something that all of you know about, but in Korea, we have launched a network called Koreans are Winners. This is a care network that has been launched for specifically Korean wallets. There are many reasons for doing that, regulatory compliance, but the biggest reason to do that is to ensure that we have enough care wallets in Korea. So as new care networks launch, there is an already ready available user base for these networks. And as more networks are launched, more users will come. It's obviously a simultaneous equation, more users, more networks, more users. But we wanted to make sure that we have a baseline of care wallet users in Korea who already know how to use the wallet, how to connect a device, how to create a circle, how to gift a token, how to spend tokens, how to get familiar with navigating the cards. So the idea of Koreans are Winners Network is to incentivize them economically to improve their health. And the idea of the winning is health is real wealth, and wealth should also lead to, you don't need wealthy to be healthy, but if you're healthy, you really are wealthy. So we're playing with that concept that health and wealth go hand in hand. And the Koreans are Winners program incentivizes Korean care wallet downloads and usage inside the Koreans are Winners network, where they can buy devices that are available in Korea for them to connect to the wallet. And all that process, that network, is what the Koreans are Winners program is all about. Our goal is ambitious. 20,000 members in the Korean community, 10,000 care wallet downloads. We know it's not going to happen quickly, but we wanted to launch the network quickly to see where the traction is, what will work, what will not. So we made a lot of progress in understanding the community sentiment and understanding what we have to tweak. And as a result of that, we have decided that accelerating Korean language support in the care wallet is a priority, which is why James's roadmap for Korea is so clearly defined. So this program is a way for us to engage the Korean community in using the care wallet. And it hasn't yet achieved any substantial traction, but also because we haven't fully turned on all the features. We haven't launched a Koreans Are Winners network yet. So step by step, this network becomes not just a launch network, but also a promotion network. As we launch new products and services and partnerships in Korea, those partners can then promote their products in Koreans Are Winners network. For example, we are looking at launching a new device to connect with the Care Wallet. That device would only be approved in Korean market by the Korean equivalent of FDA. That device can then be bought in the Koreans Are Winners network. That the device manufacturer can run a campaign in the Koreans Are Winners network saying, hey, if you buy my device over the next 30 days, I'll give you free shipping, or I'll give you 10% discount. If you pay with Solve tokens, I'll give you 30% discount, whatever. Those are campaigns. So the Koreans Are Winners network is a campaign network, which allows clients and partners and partnerships to launch campaigns to attract more people to buy their product or service through the Care Wallet. So it's a long-term play, and it will evolve and evolve and evolve. It hasn't hit the tipping point yet, but it will. It will require trial and error. That's the whole point of our platform. If one journey doesn't work, you author a new one. If that doesn't work, you change and reauthor it. That's the point. So these campaigns that we plan to launch in Koreans Are Winners network will run for years to come. They may run for a week or two, but they will be running. Different campaigns will run for years to come, creating basically a care marketplace for services within Korea. So this is the idea and the mission of the Koreans Are Winners program, and it's going to run for a very long time. The phase one of Koreans Are Winners program is very simple. Increase the community size, get Care Wallets downloaded. And that's what we are focused on. The phase two of this is to drive Solve spending and to allow partners to run campaigns. And phase three is to just run campaigns, as many and as much as possible. So that process has just begun. We literally launched the program November 3rd or November 4th. It's been 22 days. I'm not disappointed, but I want to see much better results. And we will invest more in marketing of this program and communication around it as new features are launched, new journeys are launched. So it's off to a start. I wouldn't say it's a great start, but it's a start. And now we will refine, enhance, and tune the program when it becomes a de facto standard network in Korea, available to every Korean Care Wallet, not just today, but in the long run. The next question is that success of the program hinges on getting non-crypto health consumers to participate. So look, in general, crypto is a very exciting space, but very small percentage of humanity actively engages in crypto or blockchain transactions, very small. And they frankly don't care because they're more worried about their health, their jobs, their diet, their kids, their parents, their house. We all are. So unless you're in the crypto space, it's hard to get excited about crypto unless crypto brings me value. Care Wallet brings you value. Crypto doesn't. Crypto is just a mechanism to make your life easier. Care Wallet gives you access to services that you don't have access to that you need. So our job in expanding the global community of non-crypto people into adopting Solve platform and Solve networks is Care Wallet, which then goes back to my point number one. We are going to drive incentives and campaigns where people download and use a Care Wallet, not because it's crypto enabled. That just happens to be the case. Not because it's blockchain tethered. That just happens to be the case, but because it brings them value. So that's what the campaign is about. And we will keep tweaking and adding more journeys till we make it very attractive for grandma and granddaughter. It's an evolution. This process will continue. And what we learn from Koreans Are Winners Network, we will launch in other parts of the world. Why wouldn't we replicate that? So it's all part of a singular continuum of launch a network in Korea, see what we learn, expand it, enhance it, optimize it, get it to hit certain KPIs, then replicate the network in other parts of the world, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's the model. All right. Let's see. I think I've covered all questions that were presented to me by the team. All right. We've been at it for a couple of hours, so not as long as I was thinking we will need. So let's now look at new questions. What do we have, guys? Okay. Here is a new question. Why did Pradeep cancel the Korea trip last time? That's a very valid question. I was supposed to fly the following day, to Korea to have meetings with the former prime minister, to have meetings with the ambassador. There were lots of meetings scheduled. And unfortunately, there were a set of circumstances, both personal and professional, where I sat down with my team and I said, I have a choice of getting on the plane in about 12 hours, or I have a choice of sending Dr. Lee to all these meetings and staying focused. And everybody told me clearly that you need to stay here in the office and deal with this, the situation that we were dealing with, as well as the opportunity that we had in front of us to close a major client, which we did. So it was a purely tactical decision, nothing strategic. It wasn't some change of direction or some big dramatic reason. It was a tactical decision to say, my time needs to be spent on something else. And even though the Korean trip was carefully planned, weeks and weeks and weeks in advance, and a lot of very senior government officials were expected to meet with me, and I was excited to meet with them again, it was simply not the right thing to do from a company point of view. So we made that decision. Dr. Lee went and did all the meetings instead of me, for which I'm very grateful. Thank you, Dr. Lee. And sometimes you have to rely upon your team to carry the burden when you can't carry it all by yourself. And canceling the Korea trip was just that. I'm planning to come back when those meetings can be rescheduled. And I think that meetings will be rescheduled after the holidays. So you can expect to see me in Korea as soon as you're all back from the holidays. But the point is, sometimes things happen that require my urgent attention, and I have to make a decision on whether I choose A or B. In this case, Korea was not the best choice. Getting on a plane for 18 hours and being out of touch with the team would have been a bad decision. So we decided to delay the trip. All right. Any other questions, guys? I know that generally there is a feeling in the community, some members, not all, that you want to hear the bad news. You want to hear the tough news. So we're giving you the tough news. We're telling you everything that is relevant from a point of view of what we are doing, what didn't work, what is working, what we learned from. In a nutshell, 2022 was very tough. I'm going to wrap this AMA up and then we'll gather more questions. And if you want, we can talk in a couple of days. But I'll nutshell it. 2022 was extraordinarily difficult, but it was also extraordinarily rewarding. But it was for my team a year from hell, because we had our entire Ukraine operation disrupted. Their families, their lives, their homes, everything was under attack, still is. We had to reorient, reorganize, remanage, keep people safe, keep people together. I'm very proud of what we have done in 2022. The second was that we needed to make sure that Care Labs gets launched, which we did. Third was we need to make sure the Care Wallet gets launched with the on-protocol networks, which we did. The fourth and the most important was that we show adoption of Care Labs, which we did. And the last, but the most important, is that we go into next year with a big, incredible pipeline of networks that can be authored and launched, for which we have verbal or written commitments, which we have. There are a few things we didn't do well. Our fundraising for GTHE, or the on-protocol onboarding of GTHE onto the protocol, or Definitize. Those three things, particularly fundraising, GTHE, and Definitize, we did not succeed as we had hoped for, but we succeeded in things that I deemed more important. I deem GTHE to be very important. I deem the platform to be way more important. I deem fundraising to be important, but I deem the client revenue to be way more important. And I want to see Definitize happen, and we will, with your collaboration and community and support, but not at the cost of Solve.Care. Those things are the three things that I believe, in hindsight, we really couldn't have done anything else anyway. And if we were going to delay anything, those were the right things to delay. So we did. Am I proud of every decision I've ever made? No, but I'm proud of the decisions I made in 2022. And I'm proud of the results that we produced, even though they're imperfect, but they are good results. And next year will be better. I don't promise that, but I'm working hard to make that happen. You have more questions, come back to me. Send the community in the community chat, or to the admins, or to Anastasia. There are many ways you can submit your questions. If I miss them, I'm more than happy to come back and talk to you all again as early as Monday. So let's gather all your remaining questions and we will deal with them head on. In the meanwhile, Go celebrate the holidays with your family. Remember, every single day we are here on this earth is a magical gift. Don't waste it. Live your life to the fullest. And I wish you all good health, good success, and I'll talk to you all soon again. Thank you.